There are those who say you have to have played the game to know it. 6 major surgeries as a child prevented Oliver BC's John Shannon from ever lacing up a pair of hockey skates, but few know our national game better than he does. He grew up wanting to be the next Jim Robson, and in 1979, he got a chance to audition for the iconic Hockey Night in Canada.
John Shannon in the broadcast booth here at the Forum in Montreal for Game 1 of the finals of the Stanley Cup.
While his on-air career would have to wait a few years, his career in television would not. At the tender age of 23, Shannon found himself in the producer's chair for the 1980 Stanley Cup Final. That started a 6-year run at Hockey Night in Canada. The Saturday night doubleheader and Hockey Day in Canada are just 2 examples of the fingerprints that Shannon has left on this country's most iconic telecast.
John was always my favorite co-producer. That's a long-standing joke between the two of us, and it suggests that I was always trying to be my own producer. Here and now, I will admit that, John, and also that John didn't need my help. He did welcome ideas, but the decision to act on them or not was always his. For he was in charge, as a producer always needs to be in charge.
John Shannon is the best television producer for hockey there's ever been. And I don't say that lightly. I've had the opportunity to work for most every network and gotten to know many, many people that were very, very good at their jobs. But there's nobody that had the passion and the caring that John Shannon had.
John Shannon has worked all over North America, producing close to 3,000 NHL games. Over his 40 years in television, he has been involved in nearly 30 Stanley Cup Finals. He produced hockey at 4 Olympic Games, including Canada's gold medal victory in 2002. His ability to adapt has been amazing, and for the last 8 years, he has been on air at Rogers Sportsnet, finally realizing his lifelong dream of becoming like his childhood hero, Jim Robson.
He loves hockey. I think he likes the role he's in now. He's got humor. No, I think he does a very good job. And I think it's a good thing that someone who works so much behind the scenes in hockey is being honored in the BC Hockey Hall of Fame. And John should be congratulated, and I hope he enjoys the special time.
Shannon describes himself as a conduit. His desire to share stories about hockey is what keeps him going. He is most proud of the legacy of people he has helped.
In offering my congratulations to John, let me dare to read his mind and suggest to you his reaction to this honor. John may well belong and wind up in other halls of fame, but his great love and constant mentions of his birthplace and his oft-stated desire to consider retirement in British Columbia would indicate to me that recognition of this sort, from where and from whom it comes, will always be dearest to his heart. I hope I haven't stolen that message from you, John, but when you take the microphone, you may try to improve on it, because as we and all Sportsnet viewers know, you can be my co-host. Again, heartiest congratulations, John.
Well, I've known John for close to 40 years now, and it seems some way in every conversation we have, he finds a way to weave in the fact that he's a BC boy, born and raised from Oliver, BC, just south of Penticton, loves the Okanagan, and certainly very proud of his BC roots. And even though he has to sort of be impartial in his current job and his previous jobs, I think for a fact he was definitely a closet Vancouver Canuck fan and a BC Lion fan.
I always consider him the great snowball maker. He's one of those guys who takes an idea and makes the snowball bigger. And I've been lucky enough to have him in my ear in a variety of events, and he was always soothing. He was fiery, he was tempestuous. He always gave you that, hey, big boy. He'd get mad, but you'd always have a beer with him later. And I always valued not only his friendship, but how much he cared about the sport.
John, thanks very much. I know when we have a beer, you always talk about British Columbia. You talk about your roots in Oliver. I know you love going back there. This is a great honor. It's well deserved. And on a personal note, I'd like to say thanks. I'm sitting in this chair in Columbus. A large part of it was because of what you did for me. Thank you.
John Shannon, Hockey Night in Canada. I'll tell you, boy, I remember when I started there with John Shannon. I think he was a runner at the time, and then he became the boss. BC boy, I'll tell you, he always talked about BC. He was there all the time. I think it was Olivier. I used to call it Olivier. I know with Oliver and everything, but I tell you, he did everything right. Yeah, he got fired a few times, but he did it because he wanted to do things right. So John, congratulations, you are the best.
If you worked for John Shannon on Hockey Night in Canada, as I have for so many years, you had to make sure that you were coming to work, ready to work, and I mean work. This was serious stuff, and John demanded the best. Nothing wrong with that, because he gave his best all the time. It's a great moment for you, John, you and your family. Congratulations, BC, too, for thinking of John Shannon as another member of your BC Hockey Hall of Fame. Way to go, John.
Greetings, everyone. It is my honor and pleasure to be with you to recognize John Shannon's entry into the British Columbia Hockey Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, there's no more deserving person. John, growing up in Oliver, British Columbia, a place when he was growing up that didn't have a hockey rink, where there was one TV channel, and fortunately it brought in Hockey Night in Canada. John became a student of the game, passionate about the game, involved with the game at all levels. He was a producer extraordinary. He was a business executive in television concerning hockey. And as importantly now, he's one of our leading commentators. He is knowledgeable, he is passionate, he is so connected to the game. We couldn't ask for a better representative into the British Columbia Hockey Hall of Fame than John Shannon. So John, you're a good friend. This is a well-deserved honor. Congratulations.
The British Columbia Hockey Hall of Fame is pleased to welcome Oliver, BC's John Shannon.
And would Bob Nicholson please come up to make the presentation?
Hey, Jack, thanks for giving me your 30 seconds up here. To the Paul River team, the Allen Cup is Canada. And you know what? As Pat Quinn would say, we have the best frickin' hockey players in the world in Canada. So let's make sure that stays. Sorry, Thomas, you're not up here yet. Tony Tanti, you're an unbelievable player. Brad, I remember you when I started off with BC amateur hockey, and what a great career you had. Ronnie Toigo, you're special, man. What you did for Hockey Canada was so good with the World Juniors, and what you've done with Don Hay and everyone else within the Western Hockey League. Davey Nonis, you know what, you put up with Berkey, and Berkey always wanted to be a GM of Team Canada. Let's make sure that's clear. No, he couldn't. They didn't quite win, but it was great to have you with us. To all the other winner, the other awards tonight, congratulations. But to John Shannon, John, I could talk about 1998, drilling holes through the wall to make sure we had videos for the Olympic Games. I can talk. Did you get an Emmy or some special award in Salt Lake City when we were putting Don Metz in the one of those trainers' trunks to finish off the gold medal, gold rush? But John, you know what? More importantly, Hockey Night in Canada, what you did, it was the best. Hockey Canada is great today, but John Shannon started Hockey Night in Canada and how he produced that, so thank you very much for hockey in our country. And now you're on the air. You're in the top 3. I don't want to talk about those that other network. Oh yeah, they help this tonight, so TSN is good. But John, you work harder than anyone else in the game. Thank you. It's so great. Oliver, BC. Welcome, John, to the Hockey Hall of Fame. You're well deserved.
Thank you, Bob. It is good to be home. Good to be back in the Okanagan. I just tell people when I come home I'm living in exile rather than actually living in Toronto, big old Toronto. But I can assure you, as the video assured you many times, once a British Columbian, always a British Columbian. And it is a bit of poetic justice that we're here in Penticton, because it was in the old arena on a few Friday nights where I really fell in love with the game. And it's true, I can't skate. I've never skated. I've never played a game of hockey in my life, which makes me an expert. But it was the Penticton Broncos, the old BC Junior League, that I fell in love with the game. And then it was Saturday nights in the Shannon home with those 4 special words. Hockey night in Canada. That was it. That was the most important night. Saturday night at 5 o'clock. Bugs Bunny was first. Juliet was 17 minutes if the game went long. That's what it was all about. Saturday from Toronto, the next Saturday from Montreal, and yes, Dave, you are right. 4 times a year. The Canucks got 4 times a year until 1979, and we took it to 12. One of the great honors that I can tell you that to produce the Stanley Cup final is an honor. To produce it when you're 23 is overwhelming. But to be part of a game that involved Mr. Pat Quinn in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup final in 1980 here for his Philadelphia Flyers, and from that day forward, Pat Quinn was my friend, was truly a great honor. Before going any further, I just want to introduce my son Jake is here. Jake, the mandatory Shannon rule is you have to go to university in British Columbia, so even though he lived in Toronto, Jake went to UBC. My 2 much older brothers are here, Bob and Ross, who live in Vernon. My love of sports came from the competitive level of the Shannon family football game every Sunday, of which normally the youngest guy always won, and his older brothers were angry. My wife, Mickey, has just finished knee replacement surgery. She's unable to travel. My daughter, Maya, is certainly able to travel. She's on the Amalfi Coast in Italy right now, enjoying the sun. To Brad, to Ron, to Tony, to Thomas, to Davey, congratulations. Thank you for what you've done for the game. Thank you for what you did for me. I mean, I'm in this game because of all of your exploits. I can't score goals, can't break up fights. I've started a few. But I'm here because I love to talk about the game. I love to tell stories about the game. My goal in life was to make sure that every person that went to a hockey game or watched it on television said, "Holy smokes, I didn't know that." Or, "Wow, that was neat. I'm going to watch again tomorrow night." That's the whole idea. My passion and love for the game is exactly what Powell River stands for. That's what this game's all about. There wasn't one person in the game of hockey here tonight that didn't stand up and look at you guys and weren't jealous what you've went through. We loved what you guys stood for, and we loved what you guys did tonight. Congratulations, and more importantly, thank you. Thank you very much. My mother actually was born here in Penticton. Lived at Martin and Wade, beside the Presbyterian Church. My father, our father, was the principal of the high school in Oliver. They were both teachers. My two older brothers, much older brothers, are teachers as well. And in many ways, what I've done for 42 years is teach. That's all I do. Whether it be behind the scenes or whether in front of a microphone, that's all I do, is I just want to teach about the game. I want people to walk away and enjoy it and have a good time. That's the most important thing. I've never lost a game in my life. I'm undefeated. It's the best way to look at it. It's absolutely remarkable. To be inducted here tonight alongside some of the great names like Pat. I mean, I look up here, holy smokes, this was I was 9 years old watching little Bobby Nicholson. Played basketball against Bruce Affleck. Bruce was a mountain of a man at McNichol Park High School here. I mean, to be here with these people with the banners that hang here is absolutely remarkable. I want to thank you. And to be with guys like Pat and Jimmy Robson, who, yes, was my idol as a kid. Not in the NHL, but I learned to listen to him with the old Western League Canucks on CKWX. Boomed into Oliver. Was magnificent. You know, Don Cherry played on the 1968 team that didn't lose a playoff game and won the Lester Patrick Cup. That was one of my great memories of being a Canuck fan. So tonight, for me, to be inducted into the BC Hockey Hall of Fame is truly humbling. To my friends, and yes, many of them are here, thank you for sharing it with me. Thank you for your friendship, and as important, thank you for your loyalty. It doesn't go unnoticed. I started my career in television. I will finish that same career in hockey. And that, my friends, is truly the greatest honor. Thank you very much.